Now, the U.S. State Department is renewing its warning of possible terrorist attacks in Kenya. And as we've mentioned earlier, counterterrorism discussions are high on the agenda of President Obama as he prepares to depart for the continent on Thursday. VOA's Pande has more from the White House.
During his 2013 visit to Senegal, South Africa, and Tanzania, President Obama announced initiatives boosting U.S. cooperation in trade, investment, and infrastructure on the continent. Mr. Obama says his trip to Kenya and Ethiopia is aimed at sending a similar message that the United States is a strong partner, not just for the two nations, but also for sub-Saharan Africa.
Build on the progress that's been made around issues of health and education, focus on counterterrorism issues that are important in East Africa because of Al-Shabaab and some of the tragedies that have happened inside of Kenya.
The U.S. president's first visit to his ancestral homeland comes amid continued deadly attacks in Kenya by Al-Shabaab, and just days after the reopening of Nairobi's Westgate Mall, where militants gunned down 67 people in a 2013 siege. Counterterrorism factors into Mr. Obama's visit to African Union headquarters in neighboring Ethiopia, the first visit to the East African country by a sitting U.S. president. Jeffrey Smith with Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights says the U.S. sees Ethiopia as a key ally in the region, particularly in the fight against Al-Shabaab.
Ethiopia is really seen as a bulwark against that, not only in terms of regional cooperation, but contributing troops to AU peacekeeping missions as well across the continent. So in that regard, and particularly their role in the Sudan crisis, the South Sudan crisis, their role is sort of being seen as a regional mediator.
But Smith says President Obama's visit sends the wrong message, citing Ethiopia's repressive regime.
What many people don't know is Ethiopia is the fourth most censored country in the world. They're the second largest jailer of journalists on the entire continent, second only to Eritrea, their next-door neighbor.
Atlantic Council's Bronwyn Bruton, who has met with Muslim Democratic activists in Ethiopia, some who were recently found guilty of terrorism, also calls President Obama's trip a mistake.
The fact that Ethiopia is getting a visit from President Obama in the wake of that guilty verdict and in the wake of sweeping the elections, taking 100% of the seats, sends a disastrous message to the Ethiopian government.
A senior Obama administration official tells VOA the U.S. regularly communicates its human rights concerns with the Ethiopian government, both in public and in private. The official says, quote, "We engage so we can urge and shape behavior in these areas." Pande, VOA News at the White House.